Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 91, and today we're going to be doing battle with Annie Ziggs. You can call it Annie Ziggs Katarina if you will. We always just leave Katarina off. She never gets any of the credit she deserves, but we'll just be calling this Annie Ziggs today. And so, if you take a quick peek at the deck list, it does look very similar to what we would call the Pirates decks, right? It looks very similar to the Misfortune based Noxus Bilgewater aggro, but Misfortune just isn't very good in this format. And so this deck kind of comes about as if you're going to ask yourself the question, what if I want to play Noxus aggro, but I don't want to be in a Misfortune based deck? And so that either kind of takes you in a few directions. I assume with kind of the release of Runeterra on the Xbox Game Pass and people getting a spike there, you'll definitely see some usage of the Elise versions, right? We used to see a lot of Elise Darius out of these really Noxus-based aggro decks. But what if we're looking to be a little bit different and have the kind of the World Walker iteration of these Noxus-based aggro decks? And that's where we start to shift away from Bilgewater. It's just Misfortune is not very good in this format. She plays poorly against all of the Go Tall decks. She plays poorly against all of the Bard decks. And that looking out elsewhere does drive us towards Shurima. They have a couple of pretty powerful aggro options. Both the Bakai Reaper and the Treasure Seeker are fantastic early game plays. We have the great interactive unit with the Merciless Hunter. Ruin Runner is one of the classic great finishers. They still have the ancient version of this. Ruin Runner's been a 6/3 for for like a year. But then there's also access to the card Ruinous Path, another non-interactive way to just come in and burn your opponent out. And so with the addition of Ruinous Path, you have access to both Decimate and Ruinous Path as the slow burn, and Nox and Might is a bit of fast burn. And so a couple of things to kind of make note of with this deck. We're not going to flip Annie. There's a chance, there's maybe a 10% chance in these games that you'll actually flip an Annie if you play her turn one and your opponent doesn't interact with her. Like, fine. I'm not saying you'll never level her up, but the expectation of that happening is pretty low. And so don't set out to try and be like, oh, cool, I've got like these treasure seekers and these imperial demolitionists. Let's be the super aggro and playing our skilled type abilities to try and get her to flip. She's here as just basically a 2/2 quick attack unit, right? And so that's still a really reasonable early game play. But this is not a deck to where we're actively trying to flip her. If she flips, great. It's just not super common that it does happen. The next big thing coming out of this is making usage of the card Might. Lots of cards in here play fantastically with Might. Ziggs, kind of classically was being used with the Absolver, but we're not going to flip our champions, but Ziggs works fantastically with it. Merciless Hunter has a lot of meat on those bones, and then also the Waking Sands generated off of the Treasure Seeker, another fantastic target for a Might. And so the way that we'll kind of see these games sequence, it's a fairly standard aggro kind of plan. We're going to come down. We're going to slam as much units and as much damage as we can in early, and then we're going to go, oops, our opponent's board is better than ours. We better start sending burn to the face. And so the things I always describe with these type of aggro decks is it's very important that for your first 6 mana, so all of your mana across your first 3 turns is spent on playing units. And so if you have a hand of 4 2-drops, you only get to spend 4 of that 6 mana, right? But we're really looking to say, play a 1-drop on 1, a 2-drop on 2, a 1 and a 1 and a 2, or a 3, or whatever. You can do the math, you can do the combinations, but you really want to be spending that first 6 mana of the game on units. And then the second thing is, if you don't know what unit to play, just play the one that deals the most damage. That's typically a very straightforward way to make a decision on the unit. You'll have to ask yourself, oh boy, do I want to start with, a Legion Rearguard, or do I want to start with potentially a Bakai Reaper so it might get some value on the second turn? Those are all very scenario specific questions, but in general, if you're looking at your hand, you're looking at your board, and you say, oh man, Bust, I don't know what to do, just take the route that potentially deals the most damage. That's gonna carry you pretty far for the majority of your games. And so, with that being that, let's go ahead and jump on in. You all know what we have to do beforehand. We do have to go turn something premium. The pay-to-win price is here to be paid with our Ruinous Path. And so it hasn't seen much time in the sun, but it's finally going to be out here today. It's going to get that boost it needs. And we're calling this one hot in here. Lots of heat going on out here in the Midwest. It is hotter than balls out here in Kansas City. And so I don't know how the other people are handling it. If you're out there in Texas or somewhere else in the Midwest, it's fucking hot. I've never been so hot at the gym as I was this morning. It's, of course, 68, 72 degrees, whatever they have in there. And I was just like sweating my nutsack off after like 3 minutes of being there. It was fucking miserable. I don't like to be sweaty. I don't like to go outside, but I do love going to the gym. And so it was kind of awkward and awful having that happen. But with the heat coming about, it felt really appropriate to bring some of these base Annie and some of these burn decks out here to the forefront. And so we are up against the Thralls. We're not going to keep a second Annie just for the sake of having access to Disintegrate. That's not really what we're here to do. We'll keep a 1 and a 2, and then mulligan everything else away. Look to really spend all of that mana in the first 3 turns. Didn't quite come together, but we do have a few draws to try and get at it. And then, as we said, we have the choice. Do we want to play Annie and try and level her up a little bit, or do we want to go for the Legion Saboteur, which potentially deals more damage? And we're going for the damage. We're playing the Saboteur. He can hit for 3 damage next turn, and he can hit for 2. I did the mathematics, and that plays out very well. And so here, like, just imagine that we've drawn a 1-drop. It gets like slightly awkward in that space, right? I typically advocate for playing 2 1-drops on the second turn, right? If we say just drew another Legion Saboteur, the Saboteur plus the Annie would get us 5 damage in this turn, to where the Grenadier would only get us 3. So, all right, them damages be happening. Nice. Curved out the whole way. He can't drop any AoEs on us right now, so we're going to be looking to just get in a big open attack. This should sequence out pretty nicely. We'll open, probably drop the Ruinous Path, then look to drop Ruin Runner on our opponent's turn. And then when it comes back, we'll hopefully be able to just kill with the Decimate on our next turn. Whoa, bringing out the big boy. Oh, that's fucking brutal. We get in for, I guess we get in for 3 damage because of the Annie hit, but he's going to be dropping Frozen Thralls on us now. We didn't catch any slays. We're probably not going to catch a slay. Well, there's no real reason to just cycle the Ruinous Path here. Why didn't he? He played that thing that gives you the countdowns, right? That's what that was. Create an instant century. Oh, it's not a fleeting instant century. Okay. I got you, dog. I see what you're doing. So the thing we can look to do here is we can slay a Treasure Seeker off of the Imperial Demolitionist. And so I'm not looking to do that. I don't think we need to be that all in here. We can just spew all of this off next turn. He has the Ancient Century in his hand. Like, what am I missing in terms of him not putting the Thrall on board? Very strange. Here come the booms. Now, I'm not going to Nox and Fervor off of our Ruin Runner here. If he ends up having something like a Rite of Negation, counterspelling our entire stack of damage is going to feel pretty bad. And so we'll just go ahead and let that one slide. Going to start dropping the Demolitionist down on the Treasure Seeker. We'll follow up with the Ruinous Path and see if we can't burn him out before he can get the gigantic damages in. Looks like he was setting up for the instant centuries for the Frozen Thrall. We did get a slay. The big thing here is we want to save the Nox and Fervor for next turn. So it looks like we'll just play Decimate, we'll play Ruinous Path, play Demolitionist. That's a total of 9 damage anyways. Let's start with the Ruinous Path. You shouldn't be able to stop this. He only has 2 mana. Oh shit, we're damage short, aren't we? We'll have to get the Nox and Fervor to work. So much for never flipping Annie. It's not gonna happen, you all. These flips ain't going down. This is the exception, not the norm, I assure you. Alright, well, a little scary now. Like, he has ways to positively interact with this Nox and Fervor. Oh, let's see how clever he gets here. He plays a Blighted Ravine. So if he comes at us with 24, it looks like we're going to have to try and Nox and Fervor away this Frostguard Thrall. I mean, we could just Tibbers it. He's about to just come and burst out a bunch of damage on us. But with him only coming at us for 16, I think this is okay. All right, now he's still got the instant century. What am I missing? Why isn't he spewing this stuff off? There it is. Huh. And a Tavern Keeper. Still just a little short this game. It's unfortunate. See if we can't pick up another burn. Well, that's one way to do it. So let's go ahead and lead off with Katarina. I would prefer to see them spend some mana before we start dropping Decimates. Oh, is she going to be flipped? Fuck. Well, now we are definitely short. If we led with the Decimate, we could have gotten around that. Maybe that would have been the play for us, was to start with Decimate to keep the Nexus from going... Or we would have gotten the 4 damage in before the Nexus was tough, and then we could have hit for 2 with the Nox and Fervor. Just short on those little edges here. But GG, my dude. I think that was probably on us. We probably should have just opened with the Nox and Fervor. They're opened with the Decimate. They're going to be more likely to have Lysandras, right? They play 3 copies of Lysandra. They typically only play 2 copies of Rite of Negation if they're playing any at all. And so we probably should have just opened with the Decimate there. She's much more likely. But we learned our lesson. We'll move on to the next one. Just like with the previous stuff, hang on to our cheap bros. Look for a good 6 mana curve here in the early game. Oh, all the rear guards look so good. It's not the greatest thing ever against lurkers, but always get quite joyous when we see this. Ooh, and he missed his lurk. That can be huge, right? If he's gonna open with a bunch of like 1-attack lurkers here, there's a pretty good chance we get to just get value attacks on this turn. Like, if he plays a Waking Sands, that feels like a win. Okay. Chronomancer's fine. He's going to get a trade with it, but his predict is lost before his next attack. Alright, now I'm hoping we don't have to just like drop Katarina here. We do, but we're going to lose out on the Blade's Edge. There's nothing we could do about that.
Let the bloodshed begin.
Could technically block, but we don't really have a lot to do with our mana here. It's a bit of an unfortunate pickup with this Ruin Runner and the Katarina. Picked up all of our top end here pretty early. But about to get all them rallies though. That's all we ever needed. All we ever needed. It's tempting to just like redrop the Katarina since she gets to hit the Treasure Seeker for free, but we'll see. We'll see if he ends up opening on us or not next turn, or if we get the free Blade's Edge into the Treasure Seeker. It's a healthy chunk of damage coming in. It's like, it's pretty tempting to just drop in with the Ruin Runner now, but I think I'm okay with Katarina and getting to pop the Treasure Seeker. We might, depending on if he has another unit, we'll get to play the Bakai Reaper as well. Just let him get some boosted stats. The thing that would be a problem here is if he has Death from below. Nope. Another Waking Sands. It's a fairly dangerous way to go about it. Like, I'm reasonably okay with just taking 10 here. And then getting the big rally attacks in next turn. Like, so we would block the Snapjaw Swarm with our 2-2. We would Blade's Edge the Treasure Seeker. Fuck. Alright. Well, that's pretty painful. Surprised he didn't go after our Katarina.
Steady now.
He didn't predict this turn. If he misses this lurk, that's just gigantic. Where we get to block some of this stuff. He didn't even hook our Reaper. Come on, dude, you're better than that. I think we still just have to go about it this way. It's like I would really like to see the Reaper survive. Don't think we're gonna get it.
This might hurt.
All right, so where do we stand in terms of damage? Get to hit for 7 here. Then we should be able to open for 3. And then hit with the Ruinous Path or the Katarina or something. I think we're okay here, but it was slightly awkward. Another space that would be pretty bad for a Death from below. See that happen? It's like, we're not dead, are we? Did we just die? Okay, this will get us the Slay for the Ruinous Path. Rip it. Oof, okay, that's close. That's close. Take the win where we can get it, though. Calling this deck hot in here. Are y'all familiar with Nelly? I don't know how much rap music you all listen to. Do they even call it rap anymore? I don't know. It was rap when I was growing up. It'll be rap forever. I'm never going to call it hip-hop. But Nelly's album, Country Grammar, fucking classic. You can go take that one to my grave and write it on my tombstone. That album is fantastic. So if you childrens out there aren't familiar with the rap music of the early and mid 2000s, Country Grammar was huge. It was a huge album. I don't know when that came out. It would have been like 2002-ish, 2003, 2001, early 2000s. So good, hot in here. Him and all his Saint Lunatics getting up here and getting crazy. And that's at a point in my life when I was doing a lot of traveling to the St. Louis area to gamble. Like the closest casino to me in West Virginia was going to be like they'd have them like outside of Kentucky and Indiana. They had the riverboat casinos there, but I typically just went to St. Louis, and Nelly would turn up at the casinos in St. Louis, and the places would go bonkers. It's just there's no two ways about it. Those places would go insane when Nelly was there. Just throwing the cash around at the craps tables. I didn't participate and see that stuff. I was always busy. Sure, Triple Bubble. I was always busy just playing poker, but it was certainly a thing. This is kind of odd. I guess he just doesn't have anything to do. Just go in full damage prevent here. Oh, he's playing the ramp deck. That's what's confusing me with the Zoe. Okay. I don't intend to open next turn, so I think we're okay to just play Ziggs here. And then we still have the ability to play 4 mana worth of units next turn. Like, the only downside to this is we have a pretty avalancheable board. But let's see what happens here. Actually, let's just lead off with this Annie. And then if he passes, we'll attack. And if he doesn't pass, then we'll make a decision with the Merciless Hunter. I just don't want to get, like Herder, here's my Merciless Hunter, and then he's like, great. You know, great, here's the Avalanche. I think this is probably enough. And then we can kind of make new decisions based on if he plays like a Blighted Ravine. Yeah. So it's like fairly tempting to still just drop this Legion Grenadier. I'm not envisioning the scenario where we ever get to attack with it. So we just get to go ahead and punch in the point of damage now. Maybe that's a little aggressive. We do have like things like might and ways to punch in a bunch of damage quickly. See, I told you the Ruin Runner was a 6/3. I don't know why it shows up. Well, I know why it shows up on the Runeterra.ar as a 6/4. It's they're showing the old version of the card when it was first released, but they don't have their cards to show up as the current version. All right, Blighted Ravine number 2. I really like to play Ruin Runners on our opponent's turn. I'm not really jazzed about playing it right here. The awkward thing with this hand is, like, I guess we can, like, play Katarina, and then we can, like, if he plays Trundle, he's not playing Trundle, but if he plays, like, a big unit here, we can still try and Merciless Hunter through it. Right, so if he played, say he was to play Trundle here, I get that he doesn't have it in his deck, but we could put the hooks into Trundle, hit Trundle with the Katarina, and then be pretty close to lethal that way. We do have the option here to play Might, right? Might plus Blade's Edge gets us to lethal, but there's a decent chance that he has a heal, or if you start doing shit like that, he's going to start protecting his units a little bit more. Or protecting his health, playing Three Sisters or whatever. Okay, let's take the value where we can get it, and then we, you know, if he drops Tryndamere, we'll just kill him with Katarina now. It's pretty nice. Okay, we win. GG. Got him. All right. Mark it a W. Say, you deserve it, Bust. You deserve it. Whew. Finally figured out what should be our final hot reference of the day. I got a new thermostat. I was freaking the fuck out like a week and a half ago. Our thermostat started to mess up. It's starting to get hot. Bust, again, does not function well when it gets hot. And so, I called the HVAC people. I sent them an email. I certainly don't call anyone these days. And said, hey, I think my thermostat's broke. We come look at this. And they'll be like, they didn't answer me for like, it was over Memorial Day weekend. And so they didn't answer me for like 3 or 4 days. So the next day I was like, fuck this, I'm figuring it out. And I went and got a new thermostat, but it's a smart one, and plugged it in. And it was working fine, but it kept trying to do that thing to where, oh, we're so fucked this game. It kept trying to do that thing to where it's like, it doesn't think you're home, so it turns the heat up and lets the house get really hot and shit, except I was always home, and it was just trying to let the house get to like 80-some degrees, and I couldn't figure out how to turn that thing off. Finally figured it out. It's so nice. The temperatures are acceptable. Not getting, well, I am getting reamed in the power bill, I'm sure, but that's a problem for another day. All right, let's see what happens here. You all know what I've been preaching. You got to have 6 mana of units in the first 3 turns, and then picking up Double Decimate, Katarina, Nox, and Fervor, is not a part of that plan. And so I feel like we're going to have a pretty tough time recovering in this game. We'll try. We'll give it our best go, but this is just one to where the fate of the gods was not on our sides.
Did somebody say explosives? Time to bust out some combustion.
Okay, so we should get... we're going to have to eat the full 4 from Ziggs, but we should at least get to take down his other units while still keeping our Ziggs. A small positive for the turn, I guess. We have a Merciless Hunter to try and take his Ziggs down. This is very defensive. I don't like how defensive we're having to do everything here. And then we don't get to spend all of our mana again. Sad noise.
Gonna find a gift for an action.
Let's get him, Varg.
Quit struggling. One for you, one for you.
Hope Renekton found that gift acceptable. Oh. All right. We're down in health, but we're up in mana, and so maybe that's at least a positive. Or just draw some more decimates, I guess. That's the story of the day. But we do at least have potential. Like, I don't know, like his hand, it could be looking similar, just be full of like Nox and Fervors and Decimates and Ruinous Paths, and he just doesn't really have anything to do here. I don't know, like I'm not excited about being on this plan, but this may be something.
No going back.
Alright, Cat, let's get him to business. Alright, we gotta have something go right. Maybe he'll just play a Decimate and pass and we get to hit for 12. 13, actually, the second Katarina will be flipped. Oh, that's what it's looking like. Oh my goodness. Maybe. Maybe.
No one gets in my way.
Out here, you're moving or you're dead.
He drops Ruin Runner. Okay.
Never.
Bring in the heat, bro. Very weird sequencing. Like, okay. No. The way to do this is to take down the Ruin Runner. Like the way that we're going to struggle here is if he hits us for 5, or if he has a Might or something. I very much like being able to Nox and Fervor down the Ruin Runner. I think this is our safety net here, and then we still have access to this Katarina. I don't think we'll ever get the opportunity to like play Katarina and attack with the Legion Grenadier, but options are on the table here. So he has ways out of this. If he has like ooh, that feels good. Feels good, man. We'll have the initiative next turn for our own Decimate. Maybe we got there. He's only got 3 cards. Very easy for one of his to be Decimate. Oh, friend. I think we did it. Ooh, market a W for bust. Learn from the master, am I right? As they say in the classic movie Hackers, mess with the best, die like the rest. Oh, man. What a recovery from a shitty draw. It's like I had to feel like we were like a 2%er to win that game based on our opening hand, and to just have it turn around like that's Fucking fantastic. Loving every minute of that. Oh man, I talked in the previous video. I just watched the movie Black Widow, and I admit to bring up an anecdote. I forgot about it, but one of the memes kind of in the movie is Black Widow's sister, whatever her name was. She gets to buy her own clothes for the first time, and she buys some kind of like army vest that has a bunch of pockets in it. And I was like so proud of that girl. Like the thing that was kind of popular when I was like in college age and stuff like that was you would make fun of dudes for wearing cargo pants. And then the thing that progressively happened to me is you're going out on a date with a lady or something, and it's outdoors and stuff, and they're like, I don't want to carry my purse. And you say, well, you should have fucking thought of that before you came out here. And then it's like, all right, so you've been through that ordeal once. And then they're like, hey, bust, I don't want to carry my purse. Like, put this, like, non-things in your pocket. Carry my chapstick for me and all this shit. And you're like, all right, fine, whatever. And so then you start wearing the cargo pants, and they're like, bust, why are you wearing cargo pants? You look like a fucking nerd. And you're like, well, I got to carry your fucking chapstick and your wallet and your credit card and everything. So how about you shut the fuck up? You can't use that kind of tone, but that's what cycles in the brain piece is the I'm wearing these because you want me to carry your chapstick. How about you shut the fuck up? That's fair. It's fair to say things like that, I guess, but then they figure it out. You say, well, if I want to go to this outdoor extravaganza, and then it sounds like that's going to be the play. Is he's going to carry my chapstick. He's going to wear cargo shorts. Everything's okay. All right, this game's going okay. Not real up on what this guy's doing. Playing Vi Riven, okay. We're going to have this full board. We're going to use Katarina to Blade's Edge down the Fallen Rider. We're going to get a massive attack. Everything's going to be okay. Survival skills. Slightly awkward. Okay. Go ahead and play this Blade's Edge now, right? We don't want to get priority to play the Blade's Edge and then give him the opportunity to play more cards. So we want to go ahead and pop now. I assume we're going to be losing our Reaper on this attack. The Niandroid looks like it'll probably take down a Saboteur, but we're still getting a pretty good attack in here. What up, kitty? We've got kitties hanging out. This is a different one. I can't remember which ones hang out in each of the videos. This is the dumb one, for those of you wondering which cat is which. This is the dumb one. She's a sweetheart, but she's dumb as fuck. Alright, looks like we got this Decimate lined up. Pretty excited for that. This also gets us a Slay, right? I don't think we're going to need to Ruinous Path, but if we felt like we needed to Ruinous Path, we could have gotten the Slay, gotten the damage in there. Whatevs. GG. GG, right, kitty? Let's go make some more friends. Alright, round 2 against the Thrall's deck. See if it goes any different. You're typically not really amped about playing decks that have a bunch of AoEs in it, but you know, kind of is what it is. Not a great start.
Quick hands make quick work.
Ugh. Okay. Well, we'll see if the Waking Sands can punch in. There's not a lot of ways for them to actually have a unit here, so we might actually get this 5-hit in. Well, looks like he has one. but not a lot we could do about that. That's like such a high value proposition for us. He has to have the Harbinger of Thralls, otherwise they might have the countdown dude, right? The dude that counts down 2, but it's fairly tough for them to actually have a unit there. And I wanted to spend all of our mana, so I don't think we get too far ahead just dropping a single Bakai Reaper. And then he's like, oh, I guess he has Fearsome. It's tough to block, but it doesn't feel like it works frequently on that turn. All right, so the new question is, are we going to play around Avalanche, right? We have a potentially really high-powered turn this turn. I'm just going to go for it. I think we'll approach this like we did the last one. If we play the rear guard and he just passes, then we'll look to just attack. And then if he has the Avalanche now, then we at least get to chunk in some damage with this Merciless Hunter. Gonna find that gift for Renekton. God, these voice lines are so great. I'm so glad this game has voice lines, and it's so... It feels like so fake and magic. I don't know. It feels like they did it as more of like an afterthought.
Stand in trouble far as the eye can see.
Ooh, that seems good. He is going to get the 3 bank this turn, but... I guess he's getting the big boy this turn. Alright, we'll see if we can't get a takedown through it. We can drop another Ruin Runner next turn, get an attack in. It's unfortunate that he gets to slam for so much damage, but...
Out here, you're moving or you're dead.
Maybe we get to punch in a little bit. Interesting take. I wonder if we ever get to like just punch in something with the Treasure Seeker?
Gently.
I think we can go for it. Like, he's down to 3 mana. There's not a ton of plays that he can have here. And I think we'll get some extra damage in. And then since he did add the Ravine to the board, if he wanted to, say, block the Treasure Seeker with the Thrall for whatever reason, that damage would still punch through. Or, I mean, his unit would still die next turn. Getting him close. We got him low. They don't have any Frozen Thralls. Maybe it's okay. We've got Lethal presented with little Legion Saboteur here. Rite of Negation, sure. Got to spend a mana crystal on that. And they're just taking the predict. All right. Seems like it's been a fairly suboptimal draw for opponent here. He's not got any Frozen Thralls on the board except for that one. Okay. Let's start with the Waking Sand. See where it gets us. Give me a little taste of what you got here. I'm not fully convinced this Ziggs will be good this turn. It's like there's a good chance he's just like, Herder, here's a Talia.
This'll be a blast.
You cannot find
All right.
the code.
I was going to say, he's either got to get blasted or he's got to get a Slay for us. If we get the Slay, we get to pop off the Ruinous Path for damage this turn. Which is pretty cool. Nice little bit of cycle. All right, I'm not too counting on Might to do a lot for us. It's very easy for them to have a 3 Sisters at this point, but
Stand in trouble.
Ruin Runner is the actual perfect pickup for us.
Onward, everybody! The horizon calls! Come on, there's so much to see.
Okay.
Beware falling rocks! Some rocks just won't sit still.
Never blocking. Takes us to 2. I'm a little scared, Talia. I'm a little scared. That number is small. Little worried. Little worried.
If only you were made of rock.
Alright, so far that's lethal. We want to do attack here, though. I don't want to give him time for shenanigans with the
Excuse me.
time for shenanigans with the frozen thralls. We have to play around 3 sisters here, so I'm going to boost the Ziggs. See if that's enough. At least this way, he would now have to like 3 sisters down the Ziggs, and we get to kill the Talia. I mean, we're not like guaranteed anything here. Well, no, we're probably just dead here, right? He's gonna have the opportunity to get the frozen thralls on board next turn. So we'll have to find a burn spell. Now there is some argument that we should have played Annie, right? But giving our opponent opportunity to play fast or slow spells seems pretty abysmally bad. So he's gonna give us a shot. He may give us a shot here. Play something. Play something. All right. we drew the decimate, so we had the shot to get it there at the end, just a touch short. Damn. It's close, but I mean, like historically, like Trundlemere and decks like the Frozen Thralls, these decks that are playing both Avalanche and all the AoE removals are pretty bad for these matchups, and so I've been glad that we've at least been in it in these games. Again, in that previous one, I still don't feel like playing Annie was the play. I mean, maybe I don't know. It's like when you have Annie in hand and you see them at 2, then you realize you probably could have done something, but it's just too easy for them to be like, hey, here's Talia, or Talia was already on board. It's easy for him to be like, hey, here's Lysandra. I just shut down your attack, thank you. And so I feel like getting the open in there, not giving them the opportunity to play slow cards is a little bit better. All right. Against the deserters. I hear Big-E-O is a large fan of dessert. He likes to visit Dairy Queen. Feast upon a blizzard. Shit's cash. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. The blizzards are fucking tasty. All right, we got 3 pair. 3 pair happening. Just like we're playing poker. Sure. So if he gets the trade, we still get to punch in a couple of points of damage. It's -1 damage if he takes the trade, but our units will be bigger forever. What you got? People playing Drains and Ravenous Flocks. Sure. Little scary, little scary.
War Mason, reporting for duty.
Hopefully no more vile feasts. We'll put the demolitionist on our other demolitionist. I'm fine if he trades it with the spiderling. I just don't want our reapers to be at risk.
Clear it out.
And we have to attack now. If he plays Viego, he has just his blocks are just way too good. Takes it. Bold move. Alright, we'll play the Decimate now, right? We can play all of our units next turn. We'll have the kind of pick of the litter in terms of what we want to play with the Legion Rearguard. Or whatever else we draw, and then we'll be kind of set up the next turn to open with Might. And so, or our next attack token, I should say.
The whole world will know my act.
Gonna play it. Gonna play it if you do something else. I'd say he's probably just gonna go ahead and open with or attack with Viego, but I'm good to just play the Waking Sands here.
Reporting in.
Oh, he changed his mind. We could theoretically come in and try and take him down, but it feels a little greedy. I think we'd rather use our Might on this turn. Oh, just draw Decimate. Learn from the best. Learn from the best.
Strike at their foundations.
Do need to punch in a little bit of damage here, right? There's a chance they have more undergrowths or vile feasts. I don't want him to be... Ideally, he won't be at 4 as we're trying to drop this Decimate on him. But he should need quite a bit to get out of this mess of this turn.
You cannot stop me.
I'm gonna drop the Might on our Demolitionist here in the middle. That lets us play around Vile Feast. Got him. GG. All right, get ourselves into that final battle. Game number 8 is upon us. Play these aggro decks. The games are a little bit shorter. Don't have to cut it down to a smaller number. And so, I guess I will say, as we're getting into the final battle here, I have been kind of dabbling in the Path of Champions. If you follow along with me on Twitter or in Discord or wherever, I've decided with the channel, I'm going to keep up this daily video with Constructed. And so, the Battles with Bust daily video will continue to do Constructed, whether or not that is, the ranked ladder or the gauntlet when it's up, or seasonals, or whatever Riot has in store for PvP now that they're focusing on PvP. We'll be doing that with the daily video. I have updated the ftpbus.com site to be focused on Path of Champions, and then I'll be regularly updating it. And so if you're familiar with, like, when I was running the ftpbus.com site with expeditions, I had the tier list and a bunch of strategy guides and 3-minute video guides and stuff like that. I feel like in terms of Constructed, people have that covered, right? I feel like in terms of the meta snapshots, people like Dr. LOR and Balco and Legna are doing great things. In terms of just like the kind of like general strategy, I feel like that's all pretty covered, and I don't feel like anyone has taken the time to deal with the Path of Champions. And so I feel like that's going to be a nice little side project for me. And then the daily videos here where we hang out and play Constructed and talk about rap songs and stuff. We'll keep that as what we have going forward in terms of the daily stuff. And so I am going to make some videos for the Path of Champions. I think I'm just going to post them on the site and do it like I did with the 3-minute video guides, to where they're all unposted, or however that word is, unlisted, and so you can watch them. If you see it, You can watch it if you go to the playlist, but it doesn't show up in the YouTube feed. Like the YouTube feed gets fucked up if you start trying to like mix and match what you're doing. And so I'm not like really amped about the idea of YouTube not being able to figure out if I'm making Path of Champions content or if I'm making constructed content. All right, well, rip Katarina, but we should still be able to challenge down this dragon. He's made a lot of investment in this thing, and so I'm hoping that's a problem. Well, we can still take it down, but we have to use the merciless. Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's a problem. Oh, fuck. I thought he already had his boost on it. He did have the boost on it from the Cataclysm. Is what it is. Getting him fairly close to lethal. We have a hook on this White Flame next turn with the Reaper. Let's say if we draw another unit here, we can potentially get something else going on. This isn't a great space to be in, but if he's just going tall with no overwhelms, then we're in a not the worst spot.
Quick hands make quick work.
Gonna block this. I don't like. It's not great. I mean, let's stop and think about that, right? The problem we run into here is if he has both an overwhelm and a cataclysm, right? I think we're at least in a space to where our 7 damage is good enough, and so let's go ahead and make the block, right? The idea here is we're gonna play a Reaper. We have so much burn. Yeah, I think I do want to add in the Waking Sands. Like a single combat is another, really problematic card, and so I think we have to just like punch in all the damage here while we can. So the idea here is like we get the hook on the White Flame with the Reaper, and then if he has like a Pantheon, he can potentially come out and block a little something, but we hopefully get to come in for the full 7 damage here. Looks like we should be able to double Ruinous Path, like he'll block our big unit with the Blinded Mystic or something.
My path is set.
We should be close.
I cannot turn back.
I think we've done it, fam. Okay. Reasonable enough. We should have the time to get the Decimate down. It's important to play the Ruinous Path this turn, because who knows if we'll ever get another Slay. Right, pretty tough to slay the Wounded White Flames. We'd have to be like killing off our own units with Imperial Demolitionists or something. Okay, takes him to 3. Potentially have one more heal card.
By my spear, the gods will know war.
Boom. Mark it a W for bust. Feel like we did it. Nice. Nice. GG. Did that push us up to diamond? I wasn't paying attention. It's like the ladder rank doesn't matter. You just play a bunch of games and you'll get there eventually. Did we do it? No, man, we're at Platinum 180 LP. Take us another video to get ourselves up to diamond. But not a bad little deck, not a bad little run. And so, this is the thing. Like I feel like that was a pretty good mix of games. We played against a lot of the popular decks in the format. We hit the Mirror, we hit Thralls twice, we hit the ramp deck. This holds its own. I feel like this. It just feels much stronger than Pirates, right? I feel like this is the same kind of concept. If we're going to say have this core of the Legion Rearguards and Saboteurs, Demolitionists, Grenadiers, Mites, Nox and Fervors, Decimates, like this is all like the Noxus core. but we've been playing with Misfortune forever. But with the way that the format has kind of shaken out now, Misfortune's terrible against like Alawi. She's still terrible against Pantheon. She's terrible against the Frozen Thralls deck. Like there's just like when you're playing up against these decks that it's like they just don't care about your units, then Misfortune really falls off in favor, right? She really wants to be in these spaces as to where we play that curve we're talking about and say we just start the game with 3 1-drops and then play Misfortune on turn 3. Then when we attack with those 3 1-drops on turn 3, they should all get the opportunity to trade up, right? And so even if our opponent matched our curve, our opponent went 1, 2, 3, our units should be trading up. We just traded 3 mana for 6 mana. We have a board with Misfortune on it. Our opponent has nothing, and then we get to refill. And then ideally, the same thing will happen. Maybe we get a 2-for-1 unit like a Mirai Warden, so we have like 3 or 4 units on the board again for the next attack. But that's like the key thing with the Misfortune-based decks, right? You need to have these units to attack into, and you need to be trading up on the back of her ability. And so when you're up against like Bard decks now, right, the Bard just has a million stats. You're not doing anything against that. And so it is a nice kind of reimagining of the classic Noxus Burn deck. And I think a lot of the tools here are pretty fantastic. I'm not, amped about Bakai Reaper. It's pretty awkward to find the places where it works good. And then, of course, a lot of your success here is going to depend on how popular the AoE decks are, right? And so if the likes of the Frozen Thralls, if the deck is playing Avalanche and Blighted Ravine, it's even worse if they start adding in Shadow Isles for some of the Drain cards. Like those matchups are all pretty terrible, but still winnable. And so if you find yourselves running into a bunch of that, it's probably not your day for this really aggro style deck. But in general ladder climbing, this should be an absolutely fantastic deck to climb the ladder with. The games are all fast. The matchups are good for the most part. If you're up against Thralls, you can concede out if you need to, right? If you completely spew onto the board and they AoE you twice, you don't have to play the game for another 7 turns. You can just quit and get back in the queue. And so you have pretty good and quick matchups across the board. Very highly recommended ladder climber. And so that is that. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. You maybe learned how to deal with the heat a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.